Hi, you guys. I think Spirit is always calling us to abide in the moment. You know, there's a tendency to overthink and to project into the future, or, feel sadness for the fact that we're not the person we used to be, that things evolve and change. And the more we try to hang on, in some ways that just pulls us out of where we are now. Eckhart Tolle, who is a sage, his whole focus is on the power of the now. It's the only position we can really grow from or work from. So a lot of it's about just acceptance of where we are, and then find the impetus to move forward while staying grounded in ourselves. We have Page of Cups, water energy. It's about connection. Nine of Swords. That can be second guessing or self-doubt. Like, is my offering too small? Can I love more than this? I want to connect, but, well, it's a choice. Two of Pentacles. Weighing something out, weighing something up. How does the fear of connection square with the desire to connect? There's a choice. I think it may be love over fear. And the present moment may be very nerve-wracking. There may be a lot of fear involved in something about this offer. Am I enough is what I'm hearing. We're enough. We might not feel it, Cups energy. We might think, with this self-doubt, the nines can speak to the self. Self-doubt, second guessing. And this business of weighing it up. Like, on balance, is this new feeling or this fresh feeling enough? Love over fear? Another Page energy. Page of Wands. Well, that can be a new direction, an attempt to do something new. Wands energy. Wands can be directional, but they're also about action taking. But this is the first step. Journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. Maybe out of fear, out of being up in one's head. What choice do I make about my life? Pentacles energy. This is all so far taking place in the 3D. We don't yet know what's the energies informing this decision. The deep psychic energies we haven't seen yet, maybe because fear has been a block. To that deeper knowing. Sword energy is about knowing or understanding. Four of Wands. Page of Wands, Four of Wands. Seven of Wands. Well, here's the forward movement. A new path toward some kind of reconciliation or reunion. And fear may be the block. Somebody guarding the doorway. This is a very open structure. Fours can speak to structure, but this is, it has no walls. There may be a an opportunity to actually enter this open relationship, not in the sense of like, I don't know, no rules, but it is a bit that way. It's but there's a block to it. Maybe a feeling of fear is blocking somebody. Could be you, could be the other person, could be both of you. Ace of Cups. Somebody may be motivated in that Wand's energy, if I can do this. They see an opportunity for love that starts with self-love. If you don't have self-love, how can you enter into this kind of relationship? If you don't recognize your own worth, then you're resistant or needy. It's interesting. It's the full moon today, full sturgeon moon. And there are the moon images in the Ace of Cups, water energy, about connection. It might be somebody has the impulse to move forward. They have a lot of love in their heart. But there's also this resistance. Maybe this person is afraid they won't gain admittance. Something about gaining admittance to this almost idealized space. Nine of Pentacles. Well, that's a card of somebody that's, comfortable in their own skin. They're authentic. They're grounded. Not this energy. Not full of self-doubt. Self-sufficient, abundant, grounded. And I'm noticing, this individual has this sort of bower in the garden. The bower in the garden. It's Nine of Pentacles can be seen as a card of home. On Page of Cups, it's a desire for connection. Seven of Cups. This can be a card of options, sometimes of confusion or illusion, but here I'm seeing it as, many, many possible connections that we're moving toward. It's kind of like Coles to Newcastle, the idea of bringing something to the place that's already abundant in that energy. Somebody is curious about it, wants to explore perhaps just the idea of connection, because this is a real disconnect. Maybe something about just overcoming the fear of connection. Heart over head kind of situation. There's a choice. Two of Pentacles. Okay. Three of Cups. More water energy. Reunion. Celebration. joy. Another card of reunion here. It could be something that is takes place on the next holiday. Sometimes that's this can mean that. Which would be what, Labor Day? I don't know. Lionsgate, that's what we just went through. Eight of Swords. On Nine of Swords. Somebody's really overthinking it, and it's trapping them. They're afraid. It kind of freezes them in place. When there's this opportunity for love, you know, many opportunities for love outside the cage, outside the mental constraint. This is sort of the house that fear built. And it may be saying, you know, it's our choice. Which way do we head? How do we overcome this block? It may be somebody who wants to stay independent. Connected but independent. You know, not to be lost in love somehow. Or it may be that the house that fear built, you know, clams somebody up. They're blocking the door. Tell me a little bit more about the block, please. Four of Swords. That's a card of healing. You know, Three of Swords is the hurt. This is somebody who's having to rest their mind, take a time out to get their head straight. You know, how do we get out of the house that, just keep hearing that again and again, the house that fear built. I mean, there is a house that love builds. Self-love and some kind of communion with friends. An ability to perhaps reconnect. Tell us about this Four of Swords healing, please. It's sort of like resting up after the battle. You know, some perhaps argument or separation. Two of Wands. Which way do I go? Somebody's trying perhaps to decide, sword energy, which direction do I take? There's a choice. Which road do I travel? And I'm hearing the road less traveled. It's a new path. King of Pentacles. Well, it may be a choice, Two of Pentacles, Two of Wands, to move towards stability or to somebody who is stable. It might be you or this other person was just afraid and anxious and trapped in their head. There's a need to get grounded. A need to heal. And it takes time. But somebody's on their way. Page of Wands. So I said, what's the obstacle? And it was Four of Swords. You know, there's something to do with the way somebody was thinking about this that really needs to be rethought or redirected. Page of Wands. A new path. a choice to move toward stability, toward authenticity, toward a place of, where we care for each other. Fool card. It's the first card in the major arcana, and it's also the first major arcana on the table. These are the deep energies of the psyche, and somebody's ready to begin, to take a leap of faith, to move toward, connection and friendship. And I have a feeling that somebody had a good sort of reason, they think they had good reason to be afraid. And they might well have had that, but it may be time to move on from that. Page of Wands, in a new direction. Going toward not only one connection, but plentiful connection. Reunion with friends, with people who are open-hearted. Somebody may have been blocking you because they were afraid. Love is always a risk. Fool card is somebody who's willing to take the risk, to take the leap. It's a card of Aries. Wands energy. To push forward beyond this block, maybe an insecurity about what might happen. But we have Nine of Pentacles, King of Pentacles. There's somebody, I think, that you match with in terms of, kind of what you see is what you get, stability. After this mental, almost like a nervous system glitch, somebody's ready to take the leap. Lovers. It's a card of Gemini, of deep connection, but it's also a card of choice. Perhaps somebody thinks they can't, they have to make a decision between two things of value. Pentacles can speak to value. This is a card of choice. In earlier tarot decks, it was called the Choice, not the Lovers. But to take a leap of faith, into one's own life, into that Wands energy that could be this. But another option, Seven of Cups, it could be this. There may be a block. And perhaps a block, it's a mental block. It's a mental cage, the house that fear built. And there's no guarantee in the land of the house that love built, Perhaps we just need to keep heading in that direction. Page of Swords, a lot of new, fresh energy, beginner's mind. Like somebody who's trying to figure out sword energy. How do I get out of the house that fear built? Into this place of accord. What do I need to learn? I'm missing some piece of information, something that unlocks the cage. Okay, on Four of Wands, please. Is it this? On Four of Wands, this card of, a destination, a home, a open structure of some kind. It's open, it's not blocked. That's the hope, anyway. Is it this? Love it. Star card. card of Aquarius. Aquarius. Aquarius is a card of, great clarity from above. It's a card of guidance, a card of healing. In sword energy, in air energy, being guided to the healing place. And it's not necessarily an easy or a linear journey. There's a lot to learn along the way. Page of Swords, along the way, along the path, it's a new path. Page of Wands. There's something innocent about it. It may start small. It may start with friendship. It may grow from there. But if that kind of common feeling isn't the base, and there's a willingness to learn here, Page of Swords. How do I heal? How do I get out of this fear-based mindset? One more. 8 of Pentacles. Work. 3D work. The work of manifestation. As a result of the choice. Some kind of stable choice. I think there's one more. Moving forward from that fractious way of thinking about things into something calmer and more peaceful. It may involve a certain degree of retreat from outside influences. On our way, though, there's guidance here, clarity, an overview. It's a card of the collective. But there's also this great energy of independence. So it's not like a collective that's going to swallow you up. One more. 6 of Pentacles. That's a card of sharing and help. Of equal give and take. Equal give and take. You may be just embarking on a new path, or somebody is, toward, a match, a yin-yang energy, a feeling of mutual recognition. It's almost like you can see it from here. Equal give and take. Grounded. Where you know each other's value, you're willing to help one another. Okay, on the board we have Gemini and the Lovers, Aries and the Fool. Those are the two, and Aquarius and Star card. Aquarius. There's something about, like, once we get out of the house that fear built, our awareness just, because 6 of Swords can be a journey through consciousness toward a new way of thinking, or not thinking, a new way of perceiving, something outside the fear and the anxiety, towards somebody or something much more grounded. The journey's just beginning. One step. of a long journey, but a willingness to begin. Fool card. I love you guys, and I'll see you next time.